Hello everybody. So I will be doing lesson 25. I'm gonna start from lesson 25.8, which is adding passport registration and flash messaging in the create action. So in our listing, this code that's in listing 25.8, it creates action handles new user registration in our app. So it first checks if the requested skip is true. If so, it skips the next middleware. And then it creates a new user instance using form data from request body. It calls user.register a passport.js method to save the user and hash their password. And if registration succeeds, it flashes a success message and redirects to slash users. And if it fails, it flashes an error message and redirects back to the user creation form. And finally, it calls next to continue to the next middleware, which handles the redirect. Yasmin, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, Martha, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, no problem then. Then we have 25.5, which is adding validation middleware with Express Validator. So the Express Validator module provides useful methods for sanitizing and validating data as it enters this application. So we start by requiring the module in main.js by adding constant Express Validator. So we have our 25 listing 25.9, which is adding a validation action before create in main.js. So we have our router.post slash users slash create users control dot validate. So this root divide it defines what happens when a post request is made to slash users slash create, typically when someone submits a registration form. So it handles form submissions sent via post to the slash users slash create URL, and the middleware that checks the form data is the users.controller.validate, and then if validation fails, it usually sets an error and prevents user creation. And we have user.controller.create, which is the middleware that creates a new user in the database using the validated data. And then we have users.controller redirect view, which is a middleware that redirects the user to the appropriate page based on what happened in the create method. So in short, this route runs a sequence, which is validate, create, and redirect when a user submits this registration form. And we have our listing 25.10, which is adding a validate action in users controller.js. Let's go to our controllers, users controller.js. We have our validate action. So this code handles user input validation before creating a user. So it runs inside the user controller.validate middleware. If validation fails, it sets the request skip to true. Sorry, let me check something. Yes, sorry. It sets the request skip to true, so later steps like creating the user are skipped. It collects all validation error messages into one string, which is messages.join. It uses request flash error to show those messages to the user. It sets res locals redirect, which is slash user slash new. And then to send the user back to the registration form, it calls next to continue to redirect the middleware. If there are no errors, it simply calls next. So the user creation process can continue. So in short, this part checks for the form errors, and then it shows helpful flash messages if any exist, and redirects the user back to fix them. And then we have okay, we have 25.6 adding authentication with passport.js. So passport.js makes our life easier by providing some default methods to use as middleware on requests. When we added passport local mode views, our user model inherited even more useful methods than passport offered alone. So this action points directly to the passport.register method. So in 25.11, we add an authenticate action in user controller.js. So we have authenticate, passport, authenticate. So what this code does, it sets up a passport.js authentication middleware for logging users in. So it uses passport.authenticate local to check the user's email or username and password against the database. Then if login fails, the user is redirected to user's login. A flash message failed to login is shown. And then if login succeeds, the user is redirected to the home page. And then a flash message logged in is shown. So it handles login authentication and automatically redirects users with success or error flash messages. So we have logging in and out. We've already gotten the login process working. Now we'd like to add some visual indication that a user is logged in. So we have 25.12 adding local variables to response through middleware. So the code in listing 25.12, it makes user login information available to all views, which is the EJS template. So the request is authenticated, checks if the user is currently logged in. The result, true or false, is stored in the rest locals logged in. The request user contains the logged in user's details like the name or the email, and then it's stored in the rest locals current user. So it lets us view like headers or dashboards easily and check if someone is logged in and access them via user info. Then we have listing 25.13, which is adding the login status to our navigation bar in layout EJS. So this is a EJS template display. This EJS template, it displays different content depending on whether a user is logged in. So it checks if logged in to see if a user is authenticated, and then if logged in, it shows a message like logged in as the user's name. It links to the user's profile, and then it provides a logout link. If not logged in, it will display a login link instead. So it shows the login and logout options based on the user's authentication status. And we also add a logout action to users controller.js. So this code in our listing 25.14, it defines the logout action for users. So it calls a request logout to end the user session and logs them out. It uses request flash success, you have been logged out, to display a confirmation message. And then it also sets the rest locals redirect to send the user back to the home page. It will also call next to pass control to the redirect middleware. So it logs the user out, shows the success message, and redirects them to the home page. So with this last piece working, we can tell our contacts at Confetti Cuisine to advertise user account. When they log in successfully, the screen will look like this figure in 25.1. So in summary, in this capstone exercise, we improved the Confetti Cuisine application by adding a few packages to make incoming data secure and more transparent to the user. And then with authentication in place, Passport offers a way to track which users are logged into application and allowing us to cater specific content to registered users who are actively involved. Yasmin, I hope that was clear on your side.
That was very clear, Martha. Thank you.
No
That was very
problem.
clear.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.